Hey there, I'm Sam and welcome to Animal Myths Busted. Today we're diving into some of the wildest stories you've probably heard about animals. Let's see what's fact and what's just, well, totally made up. Okay, so first up, have you ever heard that goldfish can only remember things for 3 seconds? Yeah, that's a pretty common one. But is it actually true? Let's find out. So, here's the real deal. Goldfish actually have a much better memory than people think. Scientists have tested them, and believe it or not, goldfish can remember things for weeks or even months. Pretty impressive for a little fish, right? Alright, moving on. You've probably seen cartoons where ostriches stick their heads in the sand whenever they're scared. But do ostriches really do that, or is it just another tall tale? Let's dig a little deeper. Okay, so, you know how everyone says ostriches stick their heads in the sand when they're scared? Well, that's actually not true. Ostriches don't bury their heads at all. If they did, they wouldn't be able to breathe. What they really do is lower their heads to the ground to blend in, especially when they sense danger. So, yeah, ostriches are a lot smarter than that old myth makes them sound. Alright, here's another one I hear all the time. Bats are blind. Nope. That's not even close to being true. Bats can actually see, and some species can see pretty well, especially at night. So, where did this idea even come from? Maybe it's because bats fly around at night and use echolocation, but that doesn't mean they can't see. So, yeah, bats totally have eyes that work. In fact, they use both their eyesight and echolocation to navigate and hunt. Some bats can even see in low light better than humans can. So next time someone says blind as a bat, you can tell them that bats are actually pretty sharp-eyed. Okay, so have you ever heard that if you touch a baby bird, its mom will totally abandon it? Yeah, that's a super common myth, but honestly, it's just not true. Most birds actually have a pretty weak sense of smell, so they probably won't even notice if a human has touched their chick. Here's the real story. If you find a baby bird on the ground, it's usually not because it was rejected by its mom. Most likely, it's just learning to fly. The best thing you can do is leave it alone, or if it's in danger, gently move it to a nearby bush. And don't worry, the parents are probably watching close by. Alright, now for another wild one. People say that lemmings commit mass suicide by jumping off cliffs. Sounds dramatic, right? But nope, that's not what actually happens. This myth got started because of some old nature documentaries, but in reality, lemmings just migrate in huge groups, and sometimes accidents happen. But they're not purposely running off cliffs or anything. Alright, so here's the real deal. Let's break it down and get to the actual truth behind this myth. You've probably heard people say that dogs can only see in black and white, right? Well, let's talk about what's really going on with their vision. It turns out, dogs actually can see some colors. Their world isn't just shades of gray. They mostly see blues and yellows, but reds and greens, those look kind of grayish to them. So, yeah, dogs don't see the world exactly like we do, but it's definitely not just black and white. Thanks for hanging out and learning with me. Remember, always keep questioning what you hear, because there's usually more to the story. Catch you next time.